Welcome to BunniPhish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as BunniPhish on Instagram. I really want to fix my hair. Good enough. Good enough. We're accepting this. All right. Welcome to BunniPhish Crafts. Welcome to BunniPhish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as BunniPhish on Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Today is Thursday, the 20th of May, 2021, and this is a different kind of episode than I normally do. This is a tag video, so I was tagged by somebody. I will be answering some questions, and the person I was tagged by was Pricilla from Distinctive Crochet, and if you're not watching Pricilla, you probably should be. She is fantastic. She does a lot of tutorials for crochet. She also knits, and she is a pattern designer too. So go give her a watch, see if you like her. So I don't remember who started the tag, but if Pricilla put it in her show notes, it will be in my show notes because I'm absolutely going to copy and paste her show notes into mine below for the questions, and I think she listed who started the tag. So the first question is, how long have you been crocheting and or knitting? I have been crocheting since I was 5, and I have been knitting since, oh my gosh, I've been crocheting almost 30 years. My 35th birthday is in 8 days. Exciting. So I have been knitting for almost 11 years, probably right around 11 years. I taught myself to knit when I was pregnant with my daughter. This goes into question 2 also. And she will be 11 this fall. I was living in Kentucky. I live in Michigan now, and I lived in Michigan then before I was pregnant with her. And then I got pregnant and I moved down to Kentucky to live with her dad, and I didn't know anybody and I didn't have any friends down there. And this was before the time of all of the Zoom meets, and well, definitely before Zoom and Google Hangouts, and YouTube wasn't even really huge. Like, it was a thing, but like it wasn't automatically, oh, you want to know how to make something? Go to YouTube. So I was lonely, and I already knew how to crochet. I was already crocheting, and my main companion was my toddler. And so we would walk about a mile to go to the library because we didn't have a car to use. There was only one car for all of us to share, and my kid's dad, not my son's bio dad, but whatever, that's still his dad, he used it for work. So my son and I would walk to the library at least once a week, a couple times a week if we could. And I was not successful in ever making friends with any of the moms at the library, even though I tried to talk to them, but they were very standoffish and cliquey. So finally I was like, you know what, I'm feeling anxious. I'm going to teach myself how to knit, because at least then I'll be trying to learn something. I love learning new things, love it. Case in point, is that the phrase? Is that at the school that I work at a school as a special education professional. We're rolling out using a new application, and it's going to be like a major use application instead of like something that some teachers might use. And it has optional training courses, and I have been, like, in all of my free time at school. I don't really have free time. in all of my time where I am able to do my job and also give brain space to something else, which my job consists a lot of sitting with a kiddo in class and make sure that he behaves in a way that's socially acceptable. So it's a lot of sitting. So I've been doing a lot of voluntary learning on that course because I just like to learn new things. I love it. So I decided I would teach myself how to knit, and I got, my yarn is all tangled around my stitch marker. I hope you forgive me for looking down while I talk to you. So I got some books from the library. I got a bunch of knitting books, but the one that I used the most, I don't remember what it's called. I think there was a swear in the title, and it had a pink and black cover. If I can find it, I'll put a picture in here. But that's the one that I used mostly to teach myself how to knit. I got one of those learn to knit kits, and I made a, does it ask me this? You know what, let's stop there in the story. So that's how I learned. I learned from books. Crochet, my grandma taught me because I have really, really bad ADHD, and so I just don't stop fidgeting. And when I was little, we would go to church a lot. Not a lot, not like, we would go to church on Sundays and on Wednesday evenings, and it was fine on Sundays because there was kids' Sunday school, but then we would all go into the main congregation, and I just had a really hard time sitting still. So my grandma taught me how to crochet. She also taught me lots of other things. She taught me how to do hand sewing, and we did kind of like a kid version of Zen doodling. So you make a big squiggle, but instead of coloring in each section with a different type of doodle, you just color it in with a different type of color. And my grandma would call it stained glass, so we would make stained glass in church. But crocheting, she taught me how to do that. And then we started out just making chains, and we would take whole balls of Red Heart Super Saver. The Christmas one is definitely one that we did this with, and we just chained with our fingers, my sister and I, the entire ball into like a long garland, and I don't think anything ever happened with that garland. But I think maybe my grandma used it to decorate her staircase one year. She had a staircase with a giant banister. I think that happened, but maybe I just made that up. So yeah, that's what we did, and that's how I learned how to crochet. And then as I got older, she taught me how to do like a foundation chain and single crochet and double crochet. Number 3, what made me want to learn, I don't know that I had a choice to learn about crochet. I may have asked to learn, or my grandma may have just been like, hey, you're doing this. I feel like I probably asked though. I feel that my mom has said that I used to ask her to teach me how to crochet, but she is left-handed and I am right-handed, so she didn't know how to teach me how to do it. Like she didn't know that she could just have me sit across from her instead of sitting next to her to learn how to crochet. And also my mom's not very patient, so there's that too. There's someone looking in the door right now as I'm talking to you. It's awesome. So yeah, I think I must have wanted to learn how to crochet just because my mom did it and my grandma did it, and I saw it a lot when I was little. I wanted to learn how to knit because I really, really wanted to make socks. That's the whole reason why I learned how to knit, was to make socks and sweaters. you can crochet socks and sweaters. It's absolutely a thing you can do. However, generally speaking, I like the look of a knit sweater better than the look of a crochet sweater. Not all the time. There are a handful of crochet sweaters, or maybe a handful is not saying enough. I would say that like 90% of the sweaters that I like the look of are knit sweaters, and then I like about 10% of sweaters. So by only knowing how to crochet, I was limiting my ability to make these sweaters that I thought were so beautiful and interesting. And I just really wanted socks. And the reason why I don't enjoy crocheted socks is the difference in the fabrics that are made when you knit and crochet. When you knit, you're making loops, and it makes a stockinette makes a smooth fabric. When you crochet, you're making a series of knots. So if you crochet socks, you're walking on knots all day. And I have they're not the most sensitive feet, but I have a lot of like foot issues, kind of. They're not like Princess and the Pea feet, but they're like princess feet. Does that make sense? Like, they're not the most sensitive, but they're still pretty sensitive to stepping on things. So I just don't find those comfortable. So I really wanted to knit socks. And number 4, what is the first thing you crocheted or knitted? The first thing I knitted was a pair of socks. I did make like maybe a 4-inch wide by like 3-inch tall swatch, because I was like, oh, I'll make scarves for my nieces and nephews, and that's how I'll learn to knit. Terrible idea. I do not recommend scarves as a first project, because like, especially a garter stitch scarf, they are boring. No offense if you love it, no offense if that's your jam. I don't personally love miles and miles of garter stitch, she says as she works on a garment that is garter stitch. Yeah, but it's not my preferred texture of things. But so I don't recommend scarves. I think hats and fingerless mitts and small instant gratification projects, or projects with a little bit of interest, are much better ideas for beginner projects. So I knit that tiny swatch, and then I was like, you know what, I want to make socks. I'm making socks. So my first project was a pair of socks, and it probably took me about 6 months to make the first sock, or the pair of socks. I think it took me like 4 months to make the first sock, and then 2 months to make the second sock, because again, I didn't have YouTube as a reference, so I was learning how to do all of the stitches from books, and I didn't have anybody I could ask in person. My best friend's mom knit, so I like called and tried to ask her some questions about how to do things, and she was not very helpful over the phone. So yeah, I muddled my way through it. And also I was learning, and I had a toddler, and I was pregnant, so I was busy and tired all the time. The first thing that I crocheted, I think the very first thing that I crocheted was probably like I'm pretty sure that we crocheted around hair elastics, like single crochets all the way around, and then did like 3 double crochet stitches in each of the single crochets to make a ruffle. And so we had like decorated hairbands. That's the first like project I probably made. But the first, like, in my head, the first thing that I ever made was I raised a chow puppy from an infant. We had a dog who was less than a year, just over a year, the summer that I was 9. Yeah. and she was a chow, and she had a litter of puppies, and there were 4 of them, 3 boys and a girl, and all 3 of the boys died in the first day, maybe the first 36 hours. And so I took the girl and I raised her from a day old to 6 weeks, and then my mom told me we had to give her away. Oh, I was devastated. So she must have told me probably at 4 weeks, and I started making her a baby blanket, and I'm pretty sure it was just double crochet, and it turned into a trapezoid because I didn't know how to do straight edges. Like, my grandma taught me how to do the stitches, but my grandma never taught me how to make a thing. So yeah, that's what I made. I made a trapezoidal baby blanket for my puppy that I had to give away. And yeah, that was a really, really hard day. What is the last thing you crocheted or knitted? Like, the last thing I finished? Today I finished the second sock in the Stellan sock pair that I was making, so I will take a picture of that and insert it here. That's a pattern by Kino Knits, so that's the last thing I knit. What is the last thing I crocheted? The doll for my mom, I think, is the last crocheted thing I finished. Yeah, I'm working on a crocheted shawl, which you can see in my last vlog, but the doll would be the last thing that I finished. What is the last stitch or technique you learned? Tunisian crochet. I think that's the last like major thing that I learned how to do. I've learned how to do that in January. What are you currently crocheting or knitting? Well, I have 5 whips right now. I have this sweater that I'm test knitting for, for Shayna Lines Designs. It's called the Recalibrate top. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on a pair of Under Armour socks and a pair of, oh no, I have 5. I finished one this morning and then I cast on another one today. I started a pair of rainbow socks today. They're going to be shorty socks because it is, you guys, it is so hot. It's like 88 degrees outside or something. The shop was 80 degrees when I got here, which is why the AC is running, because it's too hot for me and my students. Anyway, I was looking for shorty socks this morning and I couldn't find shorty socks. And then after much searching, I found 2. Well, I found 1 complete pair, 2 and 3 socks that don't have their mates. One of those socks I am confident I have the other one on, the other 2 probably not. So I really, really want more shorty socks, so I'm going to knit a pair of shorty socks, hopefully finish this weekend. But I started the first sock this morning. It's Knit Picks Felici self-striping, so it has 1 stripe as the cuff, 1 stripe of foot, or not foot, 1 stripe of leg, and then a black heel. And now I'm ready to start the gusset. Where are we? Okay, so I have talked about 2 pairs of socks. I'm crocheting that shawl, and then I am spinning too. I have to finish that spinning project. It's fiber that my friend sent me for Christmas, and she sent fiber to I think 4 other friends, so there's 5 of us who are supposed to spin it and make something by the ZK, and the ZK is a month away, so I need to finish spinning it. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. It won't be hard to do if I do it. If I don't spin though, it's never going to get done. And I'm just going to knit a cowl with the fiber, so I already know what I'm going to knit, so I just need to get to the spinning portion of it. So those are what I am. I know spinning is not a question on here, but it's related. What is something you want to learn how to crochet or knit? I'm really trying to think, what do I want to do? Is there anything in the shop that I want to learn how to crochet or knit? Well, it's not really like a thing that I don't know how to do. Like theoretically, I've read through the pattern, so I know how to make all of these stitches. I just haven't made a hat like this in this way, and I think this hat is so cool, especially with this like coordinating super bright pom-pom. I don't know that I would wear this hat if I made it for myself though. I feel like that's too much look for me maybe, but maybe in different colors, like maybe these two together, or these two together, or these two together would be really cute. I would wear any of those combinations. Oh, this is so cute. If I could talk myself into making a single ply sweater in chunky weight yarn, I would use colors like those. Okay, so what else? What has been, yeah, so that works. Learn how to knit that. What has been your worst frogging experience with crochet or knitting? I guess I would say once upon a time, many years ago, probably like, I don't know, 7-ish years ago at this point, 8, a while ago, I was sample knitting something for Leading Men Fiber Arts using a lace weight yarn. I think the colorway was Glacial or Glacier. It was blue and it had beads, and somewhere along the way I made a mistake in a pattern repeat and I didn't recognize it for like 11 rows or something, and I tried to drop down and fix it, but it didn't work. So I had to rip out all 11 of those rows, and you know, I had to worry about the beads, making sure I didn't drop those as I ripped it, and picking up all of the lace where it was supposed to be. I don't know that there were like, I'm sure there were rest rows. It wasn't the sort of thing that was an all over lace anything, but I had to make sure to catch a rest row as I was dropping. I didn't tink. I definitely ripped out at least 8 of those rows, and then I think I tinked back the last 3 just to make sure I had everything on the needles correctly. And it just killed my mojo for that pattern, which was one that I was struggling with anyway, because like you were supposed to randomly place beads, and that's not my forte, because how do you randomly place beads and make sure that they look good throughout the whole pattern? And some people are great at that, and that just stressed me out. And yeah, like the pattern itself was fine. It was mindless enough that I could do it and read at the same time, except that, you know, at some point I made that mistake, and then the frogging just killed my mojo. So that would be my biggest like frogging problem. I don't mind frogging things. I'm actually planning on frogging a sweater, the one that I made last year during ZK 2020. I don't remember what it's called. It's a black worsted weight sweater. I'm planning to frog it because I really liked the way that it fit after I knit it, but then after washing it, it just like it shrank up lengthwise, which is not what I wanted. Like it shrank up lengthwise and grew widthwise, and so I just don't like the way it fits. Like it doesn't fit far enough down on my hips, and I would prefer something else. So I'm planning on making the exact same sweater, but first ripping out the old sweater, or maybe just knitting from the old sweater. I haven't decided yet. So I don't have a problem ripping things out. I would rather things be, well, I would rather things be the way I want them than just sit with something I'm not happy with, because then it's not going to be worn. Because I was super excited for it to get cool this year because I planned to wear it all the time, and I did wear it a few times, and then I was just like, this doesn't fit me the way I want it to. So I'm gonna rip it out, re-knit it, maybe a size smaller, but use the entire yardage that I have in the sweater already to add the length. I think that's what I'm gonna do, because like the sleeves were super baggy, so I'll need to take out stitches on the sleeve. The body was really baggy. I don't love my sweaters with a ton of positive ease, so this is totally sidetracked from the frogging thing, from the worst frogging experience. But anything that kills my mojo is my worst frogging experience, because I don't mind frogging. I am a pattern designer. I mean, I haven't published anything super recently, but I'm a pattern designer, and sometimes you have to rip out to get things right. I don't mind ripping out. It's like, generally speaking, it doesn't kill my mojo. It doesn't bother me. I don't mind ripping out a bunch of stuff. You will have seen in the last vlog that like I had to rip out some stuff on a sock. Not a big deal. Take it out, fix it, move on. So I don't have any big frogging woes that I can think of. But any longtime viewers, if I've mentioned one before, put it down in the comments below, because I enjoy reliving those things. Number 10, what project that you have been crocheting or that you have crocheted? Let me start again. Number 10, what project that you have crocheted and or knitted have you been most proud of? I would say most proud of is hard, because most proud of is something that changes. So I would say I'm gonna pick two. Any of my scrappy modular blankets that I've finished, I'm super proud of, because those take a lot of time. So I'm talking about the granny stripe blanket I did, the mitered square blanket I made for myself, the mitered square blanket I made for my best friend, the mitered square blankets I'm making now. You know, all of those all of those are my favorite, and I'm most proud of, because they take a lot of dedication, a lot of yarn, a lot of time, because all of those were made with fingering weight yarn. And the first mitered square blanket I did was on a US 2, which is 2.75 millimeter needles. The one I made for my best friend, I'm pretty sure was either on US size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles, or US 2, 2.75 millimeter needles. The crocheted granny stripe that I did was using a size F crochet hook. So like, these are fine gauge things. I am also really proud of my rainbow knee-high Nightingale socks. I just saw them in my sock drawer this morning. My sock drawer is getting really full, by the way. I might have to finagle some more space in my dresser for some socks. Yeah. But I saw them this morning in the drawer, and I was like, oh, I forgot about you. How exciting. But I'm really, really proud of those. They're all over color work, and it's the second time I made the pattern, and it was just a lot of work. And then the last thing that I'm really proud of are my designs. Pretty much anything I've designed, I'm really, really proud of. So, and I have crochet designs and knit designs. So yeah, those would be the things I'm most proud of. All right. Do I want to tag anybody? Yes, I would. I would like to tag Aquila from Lefty Knitter podcast, and Lisa from Knit All the Yarn podcast, and Sharon from SCRO1TNO podcast. If you guys want to do it, come join the fun. I don't think I've seen either of you three do it. And if you're anybody else, go ahead and tag yourself and then leave me a comment below saying that you did it, and I'll come watch it. All right, friends, have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye!